You know that thing where you're somewhere you're absolutely not supposed to laugh, like a funeral, or a quiet church service, or the middle of a serious work meeting, and suddenly your brain decides that's the perfect moment to lose it completely? And once you start, you genuinely cannot stop, and it just makes everything worse? Now imagine that happening to almost 100 teenage girls at once, for weeks, then spreading to entire villages, then shutting down 14 separate schools. That's a real event. It's called the Tanganyika Laughter Epidemic, and it is, genuinely, one of the strangest things that's ever been officially documented by doctors. So, January 30th, 1962. There's a boarding school for girls in a village called Kashasha, in what was then called Tanganyika, which is now part of Tanzania. 3 students start laughing. Not someone told a good joke. Laughing. Just laughing, uncontrollably for no clear reason, and it does not stop. It spreads. Within weeks, 95 out of the school's 159 students are having these same fits. Uncontrollable laughing, sometimes crying in the same episode, some fainting, some having what sounds like actual respiratory distress. One student reportedly laughed, essentially non-stop, for 6 straight days. 6 days. Imagine the exhaustion. Here's the detail that makes this genuinely eerie instead of just funny. The teachers were completely unaffected. Every single case was among the students. Not one teacher caught it. Whatever was happening, it was moving specifically through the kids, and the adults in the room were just standing there watching it happen with zero symptoms of their own. The school tried to keep functioning, but obviously you cannot teach a classroom where nearly 2/3 of the students are having laughing fits at any given moment, so they shut the school down in mid-March, which, you'd think, would end it. Instead, sending the students home turned out to be the actual worst possible move, because now you've got dozens of affected girls returning to their home villages, and the laughter went with them. It hit a nearby village where a lot of the students lived. Over 200 people there started having the same attacks, mostly younger villagers, over the following couple of months. The school actually reopened in May, and almost immediately had a second wave hit, so they closed again by the end of June. And it kept spreading outward from there, to other schools, other villages, eventually racking up 14 different schools that had to shut down at some point because of this. By the time it was finally, fully over, somewhere between 6 months and closer to 2 years later depending on which estimate you trust, roughly 1,000 people had been affected across the region. So obviously, doctors got involved immediately, because uncontrollable laughter spreading like a contagious disease is exactly the kind of thing that gets medical attention fast. They tested for infections. They tested for toxins in the water or food. They checked for any kind of poisoning or environmental contamination. They found absolutely nothing. No virus, no bacteria, no chemical cause, nothing physically wrong with any of these people at all. Which leaves the explanation doctors and researchers eventually landed on, the same category of thing behind the dancing plague we covered a while back. Mass psychogenic illness. Basically, extreme stress that manifests physically and spreads socially through observation and proximity rather than through any actual germ or toxin. And there was plenty of stress to go around at that exact moment. Tanganyika had become fully independent just weeks before this all started, ending decades of colonial rule. That's a massive sudden shift for an entire country, and for the specific girls at this school, it likely meant a whole new set of expectations from teachers, from parents, from a rapidly changing society figuring out what its future was even supposed to look like. Researchers who studied this afterward have suggested that this kind of episode tends to show up specifically in people carrying a lot of pressure and very little actual control over their own circumstances. It gives the body a way to physically discharge stress that has nowhere else to go. No one died from this. No permanent physical harm was ever recorded, which almost makes it feel like it doesn't count as a dark history story in the way everything else we've covered does. But I'd argue it still belongs here, because it's a genuinely unsettling reminder that your own mind can produce something this dramatic, this contagious, and this completely outside anyone's control, without a single physical cause anyone could ever pin down. So next time you get the church giggles, or you completely lose it laughing at the worst possible moment, just be glad it's you, alone, and not you, plus 94 of your classmates, plus your entire hometown, for the next year and a half. That's the story. See you next time. Like and subscribe.